A virgin, yet I found out I was pregnant. I was stunned. I didn't even have a man in my life, how could I be pregnant? Then I suddenly remembered the sound of a lock turning. It had been 2 months since my last period. My friend Maya joked, "Hey, go take a test." I never expected it to actually show 2 lines. I was utterly bewildered. Me? Pregnant? A lifelong virgin, and there wasn't even a man in my life. How was this possible? I immediately called my best friend Maya. She was a fitness instructor, decisive and action-oriented, but also had a sharp, meticulous mind. After repeatedly confirming I hadn't been intimate with anyone, her expression grew serious. Maya urged me to think hard. Could someone have taken advantage of me while I was asleep or drunk? Had someone somehow broken into my apartment while I was sleeping? Seemed impossible. I lived in a secure building and I always locked my door. That evening on my way home from work, a memory flashed through my mind. I had been drunk once recently. It was at a company gathering. I'd had a few too many drinks because I was having fun and ended up passing out. When I woke up, I was in a hotel bed. 2 female colleagues were in the room with me. They'd explained that I'd been too drunk to get home, and they didn't know my address, so they had booked a room for the 3 of us. I woke up fully clothed, feeling fine, so I hadn't thought anything of it. But now looking back, a chill ran down my spine. There were 9 men at that gathering, in addition to the 2 female colleagues and me. Was the baby inside me conceived by one of them? The thought made me tremble. I couldn't sleep, haunted by the possibility. Sometime after midnight, I heard a strange noise. The sound of the lock turning on my front door. Someone was outside trying to open my door. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice shaky. Perhaps hearing me, the sound stopped abruptly. Clad in my pajamas, I shakily got out of bed, grabbed a baseball bat from beside the door and crept cautiously towards the entrance. I peered through the peephole. Nothing. The hallway was empty. I watched for a long time, too scared to open the door. I stayed pressed against it, listening. After a while, convinced no one was there, I crept back to bed. Before falling into a fitful sleep, I hooked a water glass onto the doorknob. If someone opened the door, the glass would fall and shatter, alerting me instantly. The next morning, the glass was still there, intact. I went to the apartment building's management office and asked to see yesterday's surveillance footage. The monitor showed no one had come to my door after I entered my apartment. Had I imagined the sound? I didn't dwell on it. I called my female colleagues to ask about the night of the party. My colleague Lena answered. When I asked her about the party, she sounded puzzled. "Nothing happened, Maya. We got you a room that night. No men came into the room at all." I hung up the phone, feeling lost and confused. If it wasn't that party, how could I be pregnant? I decided to visit the hotel where we had stayed. Since I was the alleged victim, the hotel manager personally escorted me to review the hallway surveillance footage. "Take your time," the manager said understandingly, leaving me alone in the monitoring room. My hands trembled as I scrolled back through the footage from that night. I saw myself, eyes closed, completely drunk and unresponsive, being supported by my 2 female colleagues as they guided me into the room. The door closed. Nothing happened. I breathed a sigh of relief, fast-forwarding, still finding nothing unusual. Then around 3 a.m. my eyes widened in horror. Something had changed. 9 men, my male colleagues from the party, appeared in the hallway. Mr. Evans, the company manager, was in front. He knocked on the door. The door opened and my colleague Lena let them in. All 9 men entered the room. My hands shaking, I dragged the timeline forward. At 6 a.m. the door opened again. The 9 men came out, looking tired but smiling, chatting among themselves. 3 hours. 9 men. 3 women, including me, incapacitated. What had they done in that room? Time seemed to stretch and warp. I finally got up, feeling numb and disoriented, and left the hotel. I immediately called Maya. "Maya, we need to report this." "The police." She agreed instantly. Together we went to the police station. The police acted swiftly. All 9 male colleagues and the 2 female colleagues were brought in for questioning. I was taken to the hospital for an examination. Blood samples were collected from all the male colleagues for DNA comparison. After the initial interrogations, the police told me their findings. The officers assigned to my case, Detective Miller, informed me that the colleagues denied any assault. They claimed they were playing poker that night, and no one had raped me. They were playing poker? I asked, my voice rising in disbelief. Please calm down, I understand how upsetting this is, Detective Miller said, trying to soothe me. We will get to the bottom of this. You believe they were playing poker? I challenged. 9 men crammed into a hotel room playing poker? Do you really expect me to believe that? They provided a video, Detective Miller said. One of your colleagues recorded it. It's footage from inside the room from that night. Take a look. He showed me a video clip. In the video, 9 men were indeed playing poker. The 2 female colleagues were watching. I was lying on the bed, unconscious, unmoving. The footage was only a few minutes long. After watching it, I said angrily, they were in there for 3 hours. A few minutes of video doesn't prove anything. I know, he replied. We've already sent officers to search the hotel room for evidence. Once the DNA test results come back, the truth will be clear. Leaving the police station, I felt utterly broken. Maya stayed by my side, comforting me. The next day, the police called. The investigation results were in. Detective Miller led me to his office and handed me a file. As I read, my face went cold. All 9 male colleagues had been excluded as the father of my child. How is that possible? I looked at Detective Miller, my voice trembling, filled with disbelief. Those are the facts, Maya. Perhaps you should reconsider who the father of your child might be. Before I could say anything, he continued. Of course, we understand you might still suspect them, but we didn't find any evidence in the hotel room. Evidence? It's been a month. I cried, shaking with frustration. They had been questioned separately, but their stories were identical, and without evidence, the police couldn't do much more. After leaving the station, the feeling that something was terribly wrong intensified. If it wasn't them, then who? Reluctantly, I returned to work. To my surprise, my colleagues were unusually friendly, greeting me warmly. Mr. Evans, the manager, immediately called me into his office. He didn't scold me for the police report. Instead, he was calm and understanding. Maya, he said gently, we all understand your situation. No one here blames you. I'm giving you 5 days of paid leave. Take some time to rest and deal with this privately. I didn't refuse. After work, I met Maya and told her about the paid leave. Her eyes narrowed. That's not right, Maya. You accuse your colleagues and manager of rape, and they're not retaliating? They're giving you paid leave? Something is definitely fishy. Her words struck a chord. She was right, this was not normal. Maya thought for a moment. Give me the contact information for the 2 female colleagues who were at the party. I'll find a way to get to them. That night, I stayed at Maya's place. I woke up early the next morning, feeling surprisingly refreshed. The sleep had been deep and peaceful. I waited at Maya's apartment. In the afternoon, she returned, her face grim. Maya, you were definitely assaulted that night. By whom? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. By all of them, she said softly. My head reeled. I felt faint, close to losing consciousness. The information came from one of the female colleagues, Lena, she said. She'd provide evidence if I gave her 50,000 yuan. I was stunned. That's extortion, Maya. We can't pay her. We should call the police. But this time Maya shook her head, her expression serious. Not yet. Let's get the evidence first. I clenched my jaw. All right. I'll pay the 50,000. The next day, Maya left to meet Lena. She didn't answer my calls or texts. When she finally returned, her face was pale and distressed. Lena had backed out, completely denying everything she had told Maya before. I was determined to find out exactly what had happened to me. I decided to go back to the office, hoping to gather some information myself. As soon as I arrived, I received an email. Opening it, my blood ran cold. Maya Wu, I am the father of the child. You will not have an abortion. You will not harm my child. If you dare harm my child, your mother, Evelyn Wu, your father, Ben Wu, and your friend Maya will all die. You cannot call the police. I am watching you at all times. The real father had appeared, and he was sending me threats? What was I going to do? I forced myself to stay calm, screenshotting and saving every detail of the email. Questions swirled in my mind. Who was this person? Was he one of the 9 colleagues? If so, why didn't the DNA match? Why didn't he want me to have an abortion? I couldn't focus on work. I met Maya and went to the police station, providing Detective Miller with the email details, hoping he could trace the source. This person knew so much about me. I was afraid to go back to my apartment. I would stay with Maya for now. But that night, something terrifying happened. In the middle of the night, a loud crash woke us up. A package had been thrown through Maya's third-floor window. Who could have thrown something that high? We cautiously opened the package. Inside was a stack of documents, my personal records, from elementary school, junior high, high school, even information I didn't know about myself. And a letter. The message was simple. Don't think you can escape. My child, you cannot abort. The consequences will be severe otherwise. How did he get all my personal information? And he wanted me to have the baby? We immediately contacted the police. They expanded their investigation and checked the surveillance cameras. In Maya's building, all the cameras in the complex were mysteriously down that night, so the culprit couldn't be identified. The best course of action, the police advised, was to move. With a pale face, I returned to my apartment to pack. A crowd had gathered downstairs, whispering amongst themselves. There had been a murder in the building. A young woman named Lily, who lived next door to me, had been raped and murdered in her apartment. I gasped. Lily and I were friendly, even if we weren't close. My first thought was that the killer was connected to me, perhaps even the father of my child. After a long wait, I was finally allowed back into my apartment. While packing, I noticed a man's footprint on the floor. Someone had been in my apartment while I was gone. The layout of the apartment seemed slightly off too. A surge of fear pulsed through me. I took a photo of the footprint with my phone, packed my essentials quickly, and left. I moved to a new apartment building with better security. On my way to work the next day, I felt constantly on edge. At the office, the atmosphere had shifted. Everyone looked at me strangely. Mr. Evans called me into his office again. You've been out for some time, Maya. A lot of work has piled up. He didn't explicitly say it, but his meaning was clear. I understand, I said, nodding. I'll resign. After completing the resignation procedures, I felt a mix of emotions. I was the victim, yet I was the one leaving. Sitting anxiously on the sofa at my new apartment, the doorbell rang. I checked the peephole repeatedly, ensuring it was only Maya, before opening the door. Maya complained about how long I took to open the door and warned me. Don't go out recently, Maya. Another person died in your old building. A woman. What? I was shocked. Who died? I'm not sure. Someone named Susan, I think. My head spun. Susan lived across the hall from my old apartment. We weren't close, but I knew her. 2 murders, both close to my old unit. It felt deliberate. The next day, I bought a large assortment of self-defense items: pepper spray, a personal alarm, a small sharp knife. Anything I could find. Prepared, I finally gathered the courage to go through with the abortion. Just as I was about to leave, an unknown number called my phone. I hit record. A robotic, synthesized voice spoke. Do not harm my child or more people will die. My body trembled, my hand almost dropping the phone. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I'll have the baby, I said, my voice shaking. But at least tell me who the father is. You don't need to know that. You just need to give birth to him. And if I don't? Then watch as those around you die one by one. The call ended abruptly. I tried calling back, but the number was disconnected. I sank onto the sofa, heartbroken, and wept. I immediately contacted Detective Miller, providing him with the details of the call. We agreed that the father of my child was likely the killer in the 2 murders. I sent him the photo of the footprint I'd taken at my apartment. He recognized it instantly and dispatched officers to search my old unit. Soon after, Maya texted me a location, saying she had a major lead and I should hurry over. When I arrived, I found it was my colleague Lena's apartment. Lena had packed her bags and was trying to flee when Maya intercepted her. Lena was distraught. That night, she said, her voice low, I can tell you what happened, but you have to give me 50,000. I hesitated, then agreed. I transferred the money instantly but added a threat. I recorded this conversation. You don't want to be charged with blackmail. Tell me the truth. Lena was silent for a moment, then said, There's something wrong with our company. What do you mean? I asked, baffled. Didn't you notice? Most of the employees aren't really working. They're all gamblers. Her words stunned me. Then she revealed something even more shocking. The company, with over 40 employees, was a hub for online gambling. Most of the staff were deeply in debt from a specific betting app. I thought back. Many employees, even Mr. Evans, were constantly glued to their phones. That night when they went to your room, they were gambling. It was a gambling den. I was speechless. Just gambling. She hesitated, then whispered, gamblers, when they're losing everything, they'll do anything. My head exploded. What? I was shaking violently, barely able to stand. I was a gambling chip? What did they do with me? I asked, my voice raspy, my body collapsing onto the floor. Mr. Evans won the most that night. The others had no money left, she continued, her voice flat. So they agreed to let Mr. Evans sleep with you. Just once. And they wouldn't report him. And then, my voice was a strangled whisper. And then, there was Mark. Then there was Stephen. Stop, I cried, trembling, cutting her off. Were you using me as currency too? Lena faltered. I didn't lose money that night, but I didn't stop them either. My mind went blank. My stomach churned with nausea. I stumbled towards the bathroom, needing to vomit, and secretly texted Detective Miller. They were so desperate, so consumed by their losses, they used me as an object for their depravity. I washed my face with cold water, trying to regain some composure. I continued to listen to Lena, recording everything. Some of them had condoms with them. They took precautions. You were too drunk, you didn't notice. I paused, then said, my voice firm, what's done is done. But the men who assaulted me, they won't get away with it. You have to testify for me. She panicked. I can't testify. I have to leave the city. Otherwise the loan sharks will kill me. She turned to run. Maya, quick as lightning, grabbed her arm, holding her back. We couldn't let her escape. Lena returned the $50,000 I had given her. She didn't want to add blackmail to her list of crimes. Soon Detective Miller and other officers arrived, taking Lena into custody. This time the interrogations went smoothly. Mr. Evans and all the men who had been in my room that night were arrested. As I walked out of the police station, if it weren't for Maya supporting me, I wouldn't have been able to stand. They had violated me, but none of them were the father. Where was the real killer? Back at Maya's apartment, I felt profoundly depressed, unable to speak. The apartment felt unfamiliar. Maya, oblivious to my turmoil, smiled and tied on an apron. You rest. I'll cook for you tonight. I nodded mutely, curling up on the sofa, lost in thought. The next few days my mood gradually improved. Mr. Evans and the others had confessed. Even better, the mastermind behind everything had been caught. The footprint I'd photographed at my old apartment was the key. The police had found personal items not belonging to me in my old unit, along with highly concealed cameras. Matching the DNA from these items and the footprint, they arrested the apartment building's caretaker. I was shocked. The caretaker was in his 60s. He confessed to installing cameras and entering tenants' apartments when they were away, feeding his voyeurism. I was just one of his victims. However, he claimed to know nothing about the threatening emails or phone calls. He did provide evidence for the 2 murders, though. He had cameras in Lily's room too and had recorded the killer that night. He hadn't immediately given the footage to the police, partly because of his own illegal activities, and partly because he knew the killer. The killer was the apartment building owner's son. The police quickly apprehended the owner's son. During questioning, the full story emerged. He had committed the murders to get revenge on his father. He was his father's son from a previous marriage and resented his father for abandoning his mother. He wanted to ruin his father by making the apartment building notorious for murders, driving down its value and causing his father's financial ruin. He also admitted to sending the threatening emails and making the calls. Everything seemed to fit. The case was solved. Yet something still felt off. I asked the police to do one more DNA comparison, just to be certain the baby's father wasn't the owner's son. Maya told me I was overthinking things, that the bad guys had been caught. But my unease persisted. I installed cameras everywhere in Maya's apartment just in case. The next few days my sleep worsened. I was exhausted, my mind racing. Then the DNA results came back. My baby's father was not the owner's son. I felt increasingly agitated, nervous. I secretly checked the new cameras I'd installed in the apartment. The footage showed nothing unusual. I went to the hospital again. The doctor found traces of a specific compound in my blood. A powerful sedative. When had I been drugged? Who was the father? Where was he hiding? A terrible thought struck me and my face went pale. The next day I sat at my computer, pretending to work, but secretly reviewing the footage from the cameras I'd installed. This time I found something odd. Parts of the recording were missing, deleted. Without showing any reaction, I left the footage as it was and installed more hidden cameras, even more discreetly. This time I didn't tell anyone, not even Maya. On the third day, my hands shaking, I checked the new recordings. The footage had changed. It no longer showed an empty apartment. A man used a key to open the door with ease. He entered, calmly took off his shoes, acting completely at home. What was more terrifying was what happened next. After entering, the man didn't linger. He went directly to the cabinet beside my bed, and he climbed inside. He never came out. I stared at the timestamp on the footage, trembling uncontrollably. The man was still in the cabinet beside my bed right now. He hadn't left. Forcing myself to stay calm, I picked up my phone and called Maya. "Honey, want some pork chops for dinner?" "Sure. I'll be right there to get them." I pretended to be heading out the door, but then the cabinet beside my bed creaked open. A chilling voice spoke from within. "Maya is Muslim. She doesn't eat pork, Maya Wu." I screamed, yelling for help, and scrambled towards the door, but the man, thin and wearing glasses, grabbed me. He yanked my hair, dragging me back inside. I screamed and fought desperately. He slammed my head against the floor by my hair. Dazed, I felt him quickly tie my hands and feet. "You wanted to kill my child?" "No way," he said coldly. "Please," I sobbed, tears streaming down my face. "Let me go. I don't even know you." "You don't know me? I'm your husband. Every night I sleep with you." The man smiled, his face contorted in an evil, twisted grin. My face paled further. "The dizziness, the sleepiness. You drugged me? You have a habit of drinking a glass of milk before bed. Slipping a sedative into your milk. It was easy for me." He sighed, looking at me with a disturbing intensity. You sleep with me every night? How did you get in?" I asked frantically. "The caretaker was easy to manipulate. I got a copy of your key. I come and go as I please. As for the cameras, such childish toys are no challenge for me." I was shaking violently. Then, "I'm pregnant because of you." "You are mine," he said, his voice possessive. "The child is naturally mine too. You're worse than an animal. Thank you for the compliment." He chuckled, a low, chilling sound, his eyes fixed on me with a terrifying fanaticism. "You are mine. No one can take you from me." His gaze was dark, sinister, filled with an unsettling obsession. I had never seen such terrifying eyes before. I could barely breathe. "I've never seen you. Why are you doing this to me?" I asked, my voice trembling. "We have met. Every day. You just didn't notice me." The man looked at me. His expression twisted with a terrifying rage. I had a vague memory. He looked familiar, perhaps from the apartment building across the street. "Well, it's better this way. I don't have to hide anymore. I'll take good care of you." I pleaded and begged, but he ignored me completely, quickly covering my mouth with tape. He mumbled to himself, "Maya should be here soon. Once I've dealt with her, I'll take you away. No one will think of you for a while." Just as I was consumed by fear for Maya, the sound of a key turning in the lock echoed from the door. "Maya, open up. What's going on?" Maya's voice called out as she pushed the door open. The man, holding the baseball bat, was ready to strike. The door swung open. He swung the bat but hit only air. Several police officers tumbled into the room, tackling the man to the ground. "Don't move. Stay down." In the blink of an eye, the man was pinned by multiple officers. Maya rushed forward, hugging me tightly. My pork chops comment had been a prearranged signal. If I said pork chops, it meant I was in danger and she needed to call the police immediately. This had led to their arrival. I struggled free from my bonds, looking at the man struggling on the floor, defeated. Relief washed over me. After the man was arrested, the full truth emerged. His name was Ethan Young and he was a hacker. He had lived in the apartment building across from mine, spending his days watching me through a telescope, monitoring my every move. His apartment was a shrine to his obsession, covered in my photos, filled with detailed records of my life. The police interrogating him were unnerved by the sheer intensity of his fanaticism. He was the mastermind behind everything. He had befriended the caretaker, tricking him into giving him a copy of my apartment key. Every night he would enter my apartment, drug and assault me, then quietly leave before dawn. He altered the surveillance footage, ensuring no one noticed. He befriended the building owner's son online, manipulating him, feeding him twisted ideas, ultimately inciting him to commit the 2 murders. All of it, his confession revealed, was done for me. He intended for the owner's son and the caretaker to be scapegoats, leaving him free to claim me. When the interrogating officer asked him why, given his apparent success as a hacker, he didn't pursue me normally, he replied, his eyes wild and violent. No woman would ever want me. His past relationships, numerous but short-lived, had ended because his girlfriends couldn't tolerate his extreme need for control. He even went as far as dictating when his girlfriends were allowed to use the bathroom. I didn't want to know why he was like this. The very thought of him filled me with disgust and terror. A year later. It was 8 o'clock at night. I hailed a taxi, took a photo of the license plate out of habit, and got into the back seat. The driver, a middle-aged man, frowned. "You made me wait." "Sorry," I said softly. The car started moving. I sat in the back seat and called Maya. "Maya, yes, I'm almost there. I'm in the taxi now. I've sent you the license plate number and the route." I deliberately spoke loudly, making sure the driver heard me. I hung up and absently scrolled through my phone. The bad guys had been punished. My life had seemingly returned to normal, but I knew I was irrevocably changed. My phone vibrated. I looked at the screen, surprised. "Driver, is your navigation wrong?" I asked, my voice laced with alarm. "You're off the route." The driver ignored me, continuing to drive in silence. I asked again, my voice more urgent. The driver's face was cold, his mood clearly sour. I started to panic, my hand instinctively reaching for my bag. Inside, I had a small sharp knife. I looked around, my mind racing, trying to figure out how to subdue him. Should I go for the artery? His throat? My heart pounded. My mind filled with chaotic thoughts of how to overpower or even kill him. The taxi turned onto a dark, deserted road, sparsely lit. My heart leaped into my throat. I slowly pulled the knife from my bag. Then the driver spoke. "Navigation's route is under construction. This way is faster." "Oh," I said, relief washing over me. "That's good." I smiled, slowly putting the knife back in my bag. The driver wasn't talkative and said nothing more. After a while, the surroundings became familiar. I relaxed. The taxi pulled over. We were at my destination. "Here we are," the driver said, checking his phone for the next fare. I didn't say a word, just got out of the car. I had misjudged him. He was just a man worn down by life, rendered silent. Maya bounced over, relief flooding her face when she saw me. "I thought you disappeared again." "Not this time," I said, reaching out and taking her hand, holding it tightly.